Window cleaners of Reddit. What is the weirdest thing you have seen while cleaning windows? Not a window cleaner, but I work on roofs. Climbing up a ladder lets you see into a lot of rooms whether you like it or not. Also, a lot of people have skylights in their bathrooms. The weirdest thing I saw was a picture hanging in a customer's bathroom. The photo was the customer, a woman, in sorta like BDSM lingerie in the bucket of a tractor. Doing some sorts of, say UAL pose. On the ground. In a cheering pose, hands up. Smiling, was their child. Maybe 4 or 5 years old. Looking up at her. Super weird if you ask me. I am a consulting engineer working in building science and structural restoration. A number of years ago while working in Toronto at a 38-story high-rise. We, 2 contractors and myself, were reviewing glazing and sealant bead and came down upon a window where a woman was grooming her bikini area. We are always taught to see something inappropriate and look away. Apparently we looked so far away we missed the metal flashing lip of the next level down. Our swing stage tilted one way and swung back and all 3 of us banged our heads into the lady's window. The glass didn't break but it sure scared the lady. Once I was doing this 2-story house. With big square plates of glass pretty much everywhere. The guy had every single painting on his walls covered with sheets. And absolutely would not allow us inside to get to the double hungs on the 2nd floor. I only did the job for about 8 or 9 months but saw 2 unexpected things. Got to the top of the ladder and saw a guy the first know as a priest enjoying some porn. I scurried back down the ladder hoping he would hear me and then slowly went back up. He obviously had heard me because when I got back to the window he was standing up reading a Bible. The other time I got to the top of the ladder and saw a woman in her 80s sitting on her bed completely naked. I was sure she saw me so I gave her a few minutes before going back to the window. When I get there she's sitting in exactly the same place. Still naked. Smiling at me. I got a job in an office soon after. My maternal grandfather was a window washer in the 1930s. He saw my eventual grandmother on the other side of the glass. A rotund lady pooping while I was doing high-rise window cleaning. You don't expect to have to close the window when in the bathroom on the 12th floor. How do I know she was pooping and not peeing? I just knew. I guess it's because she didn't look pissed. Not a window cleaner, but I was at a boring industry black tie event at a posh hotel in London a few years back. Woke up very hungover on the 12th floor. Stumbled to the window and pulled open the curtains. 2 blokes stood there staring at my fat naked self. They were on one of those tall building platform things. Took me a moment to understand what the F was going on. Closed curtains. Moved on with my life. Can't have been that boring. When you woke up hungover and naked. Not a window cleaner, but I regularly see people having sex in the apartment building next to mine. We can't install curtains so I can't escape it and they probably see me as well. Just start smearing S on your window. That'll turn them away. Not in the business anymore, but I cleaned residential and commercial. The weirdest thing I ever saw was the wife of a famous actor had a bunch of naked portraits of herself around the house. Doing yoga. Drinking coffee. Like that. She was sitting on the couch the whole time we were doing the windows like it ain't no thing. If she didn't care then neither did we. Come on, you have to give us the name of the actor. Betty White. I had a friend and she worked as a cleaner when she was approximately 15. 16. She saw her classmate making out with her Barbie doll. Gotta practice somehow. When I was about 16 I was doing window cleaning and grass cutting as a little side job for some extra money. Went to a house where a few people had just newly moved in. Thought I'd get to them before someone else did. Knocked the door. Agreed the price and got to work. All was fine till I got to the last window. One of the bedrooms. 2 people. Guy and a girl. Were in the process of shooting what I'm assuming was heroin. The girl was already out of it. The guy was starting to nod off. The guy was the same dude who answered the door to me. He must have forgot that I was cleaning his windows and maybe I interrupted him. Well, he forgot to close his blinds. But something was off. The girl was foaming at the mouth and I've never seen someone nod so quick, hadn't really seen anyone nod at that point. I was only 16, but the girl was foaming at the mouth. I phoned for an ambulance and found out they had both OD'd. Deliberately. Never seen them again till like 5 years later when I saw the girl. I asked if she remembers anything from that time. Turns out she survived it. Found the light and all that stuff. But her fella died that day. Something I'll never forget. Scary sight to see at 16. She thanked me for saving her life and said she will always be grateful. I'm not a window cleaner, but I worked for PacSun a long time ago and my boss told me to go up a ladder to change light bulbs above the changing rooms. They had walls, doors but no ceilings. I was at the top of the ladder before I looked down. And all I see is 4 different women covering their bodies and looking at me like some sort of perv. I had toolbox and light bulbs in hand. So I'm clearly working. But in that moment I yelled, "Hey, Angela. How about we sort out that light bulb issue after we close and there's no women in the changing room? WHO now think I'm in a hole?" Single quote. A obviously drunk woman was J.R. King off her doji, knocked on the window and she jumped about a mile high. Not a window cleaner. But I've been spotted by one. Sat on my day off in my birthday suit having a WNK. Smoking a J-int and didn't hear our back gate go. He comes in as usual and starts to climb. I had the porn on at a high volume cuz I was home alone. See his head poke up above the top of the net curtains and his eyes widen at me. I stared deadlocked with him for a second before lunging for a cushion to cover myself with. Most embarrassed I've ever been. I make sure my partner pays him each time he comes to the door now. And I'm more discreet in my masturbation. I could be the last person on earth and would still play my PRN at a whisper. I wish I had your confidence. The weirdest thing I've seen while cleaning windows? 50 gigabytes of temporary files and misc downloads. This guy faps. I used to be the janitor at a busy McDonald's next to a university campus a while back. Early in the morning I usually cleaned the windows outside before the drive-thru started to get too busy. Usually saw some fairly strange people. But one that stuck out was a very unkempt and definitely hungover man foraging for cigarette butts in the trash. And on the pavement. After he gathered a handful, he sat on the curb nearby. Crushed the tiny bits of old stale tobacco out of the butts into a rolling paper. Which he then licked, rolled, and then asked me if I had a light. If I hadn't already quit smoking before then. That encounter would have made me do it. One of the window cleaners at my workplace is a good friend of mine and he said that he saw our manager getting a BJ from his assistant under his table while he was working on the PC. This is more on the sad side. We clean senior homes and in the dementia ward there was a woman that was asking me why they turned the volume down in the room because she couldn't hear me. She went on for a while about that and how she disapproves of it. Eventually she started calling me Brian and said, "Brian, it's been so long since I've seen you. You never come visit." I've got to say that was both the weirdest and most saddening thing I have seen. There's a possibility that Brian visits a lot. But she never remembers. Which, I realize, doesn't make it much less sad. My reflection, sad face. That makes 2 of us smiley face. Former window cleaner of 5 years. The unusual things I have seen on the job usually took place in the downtown segment. Usually somebody irate or on Dr. GS. On person in particular walking down the block with no pants on. They were overweight too, so the tummy blocked their no-no place. Other than that, nothing too weird in my tenure. Not a window cleaner, but I was the person inside. I lived in a 3rd-floor apartment with a roommate. I had a gentleman friend who I'd recently started seeing romantically come over late at night and he wound up spending the night for the first time. We woke up that morning to some people on a ladder cleaning the gutters or something. They awkwardly tried to avoid eye contact and I think we just ignored them and rolled over and went back to sleep. But when they moved past my window to my roommate's room, she, being curious if my gentleman caller and I had hooked up, asked the guy, pissed, "Hey, is there a guy in there?" And said that he shifted his eyes side to side and did a quick nod with a straight face and then got back to cleaning and got the heck out of there. The way she described it cracked me up. Not the one cleaning the windows. This happened in Indonesia. I was staying at my mom's apartment and had a boy over. We were getting nasty and then window cleaner rolled down on their lift thingy and saw us getting nasty. Worst part is I knew who they were because they happened to work around the apartment building. So did you rage quit? Window cleaner here. I was up on a ladder doing an older single woman's house and happened to be at her bedroom window. She was in the process of getting out of the shower and was fully naked and bent over putting on her underwear and just happened to turn around to find me washing the window. I may add this woman was in her early 50s and extremely good looking for a 50-something-year-old woman. Anyways, she turns around and stood up and I then saw her br asked which were fake but very nice lol. She didn't freak out but closed her blinds, and when I finished the job I knocked on the door to give her the bill and all she said to me was, "I hope you enjoyed what you saw," with a little devious smile. To which I replied, "Yes ma'am. Thank you very much," and took the check and went on my way. I do her house every 6 months now and we know each other on a first name basis lol. So, the company I work for is partnered with an apartment complex, where we clean all the windows in 2 buildings each month. We get there early in the morning to take all the screens out of the windows. And apparently the manager had forgotten to send out the emails telling people we'd be coming that day. I have a master key. So standard protocol is just to unlock the door and knock as I'm entering. Then yell, "Maintenance." Well, one apartment was particularly surprised at my entrance. And quickly spun around on his couch. He asked if I could just come back later and do his windows another day. I was confused, but realized why he was so startled after I noticed the hoard of tissues, lotion and pillows on the coffee table in front of him. I don't think I ever actually went back to that apartment to do his windows. I wouldn't know what to say to him if I did.